So what is happening down at the ports? Paul Zalai is with us. Good morning, Paul.
Hi, Kathy. How are you?
How funny that we should have two Pauls with Z surnames talking to us about this. Now, you're down. You see all the trade coming and going, the big picture, as the director of the Freight and Trade Alliance and also the Australian Peak Shippers Association. What's the situation like right now?
Look, there's extensive delays, but the cause of those delays have changed over the course of the last year. So last year there was the well-documented industrial action at the waterfront, with the wharfies, the MUA, with particularly Patrick, but other stevedore operations. That caused significant problems, but that's largely been addressed. DP World have settled their enterprise agreement. Hutchison and Patrick are still in final negotiations, but we've gone a few months now without any industrial action.
So
but the bigger problem seems...
So are you saying that maybe because there's so much hay being made, the unions are taking that opportunity, or is it related to something else?
Look, we've never got into the middle of the actual negotiations between the employer and the worker, but we've just kept focusing on the economic impacts of the disruption, and that was significant last year. This year, we potentially are going to have the same problems, more so in Melbourne, one of the big terminals down there that's largely automated, Victoria International Container Terminal. Are in dispute now with the workers, and they're in a position now where they've taken the matter to the Fair Work Commission to try and get some resolution there. But aside from those industrial relations issues, the bigger picture is that international shipping in general is in disarray. All parts of the world, whether it's US, UK, Canada, or even a lot of the Asian ports, and again for the same reasons why we've been, what Paul Zara mentioned earlier and you were talking about, there's been a high demand for commodities globally, and international shipping has very much struggled with that. Put on top of that, the fragile nature of the business, and for example, we've had more industrial action in Canada, US, we've had a lot of problems just with labour, with, the high levels of illness and trying to clear the ports. As a result of all of that, received a note from one of the shipping lines this morning. They're still talking about 14 days delays of vessels being off window.
What does that mean? What's off window mean?
Off schedule for when they were planning to arrive. An even larger problem than that is back in origin, like in China and other parts of Asia where we buy these goods. They are struggling to get enough empty containers, sea freight containers, to fill them, to bring them to Australia. We've got a stockpile of those containers sitting on our ports here in Australia. So one of the problems has been the shipping lines are so busy unloading imports in, they're taking whatever export goods they can, but they haven't got enough time or capacity then to pick up the surplus empty containers to then take them back to Asia so they can be refilled again. So, if you go down to our waterfront now, you'll see containers stacked 3 high and going for miles. We've got a stockpile here that we just can't get back to Asia in time to fill.
That is amazing.
As a result of all of that as well, we've got massive increases in prices. So, the consumers listening to all of this now, you can probably expect higher prices. The shipping lines are implementing surcharges of up to $700 per container, and freight rates are record highs. Obviously, with supply and demand, they are able to increase their rates, and they're reporting, these international shipping lines are reporting record profits, which are really quite staggering. So again, it's going to get passed through the supply chain and increase prices for consumers.
Wow. So this is happening all around the world, but I guess particularly you pointed out Asia, but America too, ports jammed with goods that are being shipped around the world and leading to the biggest, I guess, disruption of the supply chain in a long time is really what you're saying.
Look, it is, and you look at some of the footage off the United States. You've got ships actually parked up there, just waiting to get into berth. So we're not that bad here. While we have got these delays, you're not going to see the vessels waiting off our coast. They're now slow steaming or moving slowly on their way to Sydney and other ports around Australia to use less fuel rather than going full steam ahead and anchoring offshore. And the other thing that you're going to see with all of this too, with the lack of predictability, we've got now importers are actually increasing their onshore stock of goods as well, so they can do just-in-time deliveries. Going back 18 months ago, importers could rely on a shipping service to get their goods here in a reasonable time and would not hold too much stock. But that's changing now just because of the unpredictable nature of the international shipping.
So that promise, that just-in-time logic, which is you buy it and they get it there immediately, which is fantastic for retailers because they don't have to worry about holding stock. They don't have to have big warehouses ready to go. They can order it and it comes, and it's been working very well. And it also means you don't have redundant stock that no one chose the pink lounge or whatever. So you're only ordering what's in demand. That relied on this quick delivery and the freight services being able to do these quick turnarounds, which isn't happening right now. So this slow steaming, surely we're through the big Christmas, Boxing Day, even the Black Friday season. Do you see it letting up anytime soon, easing?
No, not really. And we were actually hoping, as strange as it might sound, for a bit of a reprieve and a little bit of a breather at this period with the Chinese New Year, which is traditionally a quieter time with manufacturing slowing down. But from all reports, the manufacturing is still going strong. But a lot of the workers weren't easily able to go back to their provinces because they also were facing up to a 2-week lockdown if they were to go back home. And they've been given incentives to stay on at the factories and keep working. So we've still got strong production happening. But look, the other factor that I wanted to sort of put in the mix of all of this too is air cargo has obviously slowed down. Paul Zara was talking earlier about, shops at airports. The other factor is air cargo has dramatically reduced. Traditionally, 80% of cargo coming in and out of the country via air would do so in the belly space of passenger aircraft. So now, obviously, we haven't got the same number of international passengers and probably won't for a considerable period of time. Air cargo is not a viable option as it was pre-COVID.
So the logic of that is that the passengers were subsidising the cargo because they're paying premium for their seats, thousands of dollars for filling those seats, and that offset the costs of air freight. But now they're not there anymore. The freight has to bear the full cost of the flight. Is that what's happening?
You're exactly right. And the problem there has been, while a lot of our retail goods could, transfer and move by sea cargo, and as I said before, we've got the biggest stock of goods now in importers' facilities. The big problem about the reduction of air cargo has been for, again, our exporters and our agriculture sector, because they've been very reliant on air cargo to get seafood, meat and other agricultural goods to market via air. Now, the government has subsidised that arrangement over the last 12 months or so with hundreds of millions of dollars worth of funding to keep the air cargo sector going, particularly getting the agriculture goods out and getting PPE and other goods that we needed for health protection back in. That was all done through government funding. Now, that government funding is due to end on the 30th of June. Now, again, passenger flights with any decent numbers aren't going to happen until 2022 at the earliest. So it's going to be a real struggle for industry to sustain an air cargo service and supporting a lot of these exporters. So it'll be interesting to see whether the government comes to the party again and provides some type of support, or whether some of these industries, as Paul Zara said, some of these industries might end up folding.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, getting those fresh produce items out to other countries is so important. Gosh, it does sound like there is going to need to be some kind of restructure, rethinking of ports. I don't have any idea how that works, but unloading quicker and more space for doing that might be on the cards if this is not just a temporary boom, if it continues. And then you also have to wonder about the conditions that many of those crews on those ships might be enduring. There's a lot to be thought about here. Look, thank you very much for talking about it with us, Paul. Good to have you along.
Thanks, Kathy.
It's Paul Zalai. He's the director of the Freight and Trade Alliance and the Australian Peak Shippers Association, really painting a picture for us of, the real world outcomes of all our online buying and all those parcels coming into the country. There was some statistics from a company back in 2017 predicting that by 2021, Australia's parcel market would grow to more than 1 billion parcels a year by right now, but I guess that's probably happened already, and this exponential growth may not be turning around anytime soon. It's here to stay, it seems like. Let's grab some news headlines because Tony Matthews is with us. Good morning, Tony.